Oh my gosh, the conditions this morning are just incredible. Like, this genuinely is the best morning or best trip of photography I've had in ages. Good morning. I hadn't anticipated it was going to be this cold this morning, so apologies for the lack of coordination here in colour. The only different or extra jacket I had in my car was my waterproof one. But anyway, I hadn't even anticipated being here this morning. You see, when I went to bed last night I was absolutely exhausted, and I thought I'm not going to set my alarm clock for 3:30 to get up for sunrise because I'm not going to manage to get up. But somehow I ended up waking up at 3:25 and I thought, let's just head out and see what morning and what conditions present themselves to me. So because I hadn't planned on coming out this morning, I haven't really thought about what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be shooting. So I thought the easiest option was to come back to Fraserburgh Beach where I was last week and just see what happens, basically. See what manifests and see if we can get some more interesting marram grass photographs like we got last week, and just see what happens. But a bit of a spontaneous trip out this morning, but I often think that the spontaneous, unexpected ones end up reaping the best results. So we'll see if that analogy is true this morning as we head to the beach once more. Oh yes! I hadn't anticipated this because it's only 3 days since I was last here, but the tide is out this time, unlike it was when I was here 3 days ago. So we've got these really interesting sort of pools of water, leading lines. So we've got a foreground interest this time in the beach. I don't know if you remember, if you watched my last video from here last week, I was struggling to find foreground interest on the beach, therefore struggling to get images. So I ended up taking photographs of the marram grass with the post-sunrise light, which I really liked the image I got in the end. I really liked it. But to come down here this morning and to find that there's pools of water, potential for foreground interest, makes this incredibly exciting. We've got a blanket of cloud in the horizon just now. I had to drive through quite a bit of fog to get here actually, so where the sun is due to rise is quite foggy, but it should be. We've still got some interesting hues and colours on the horizon, so let's head down there now before they disappear and try and compose a shot before the sun rises. For choice this morning. There's currently 2, potentially 3 compositions that I'm really liking the look of. The first one is this S-shaped stream going into the sea, which acts as a nice leading line, and we've got some nice hues and colours on the horizon. The second one is behind me. There's this lovely pool of water which has got this sort of S-shaped bank of sand, again going towards the distance in the horizon, giving a good leading line, which I think will look spectacular when the sun has risen and we've got that nice ball of golden light that will then hopefully reflect onto that pool and give some really nice colours, contrasts, and not necessarily reflections because there's no clouds in the sky, but just some interest. So I'm going to start with this nice S-shaped curve before all those beautiful hues and colours on the horizon disappear, and then try and photograph that one afterwards. I've got to say I wasn't optimistic for this morning. When I looked out the window I could see there was a bank of cloud or fog on the horizon, and as I was driving here I just was like, oh, I'm just not sure. But this morning is proving to me that you just have to get out and you have to try, because often conditions are different or not what you expect when you get to a location, and that's what makes getting up early, getting out and enjoying moments like this so incredibly exciting. I've just taken 3 separate images of this S-curve leading into the sea. Now, S-curves are fantastic leading lines. They work really well in conditions like this, especially when you've got these lovely subtle colours on the horizon behind them. But sometimes I find because it's just the S-curve, there's no foreground, there's sometimes nothing really on the horizon, nothing for the eye to sort of focus on, it can be quite difficult to create a unique, interesting and really visually appealing image, even though you've got those factors there like the leading line and the colours and the conditions. So what I've just been doing is, like I said, I've taken 3 photographs of this S-curve. I've taken one just with the S-curve on its own, which I think looks quite nice, quite minimalist, quite tranquil. I then moved slightly further to the left and I found this circular area in the sand, this shape that I then focused on, which gave a little bit of foreground interest, just something a little bit different than what I wasn't able to do with the more minimalist S-curve. Then I've come back to the right hand side again, I've taken another image, just slightly different position to my first S-curve image, which again adds a little bit extra to it. There's a little bit more patterns in the sand and everything, just to add something else. So I don't know which of the 3 images I prefer. I'll put all 3 on the screen for you now and you can let me know in the comments below which one you prefer. But although I like to try nowadays to take as little photographs as possible, just so I can practice, be patient, enjoy the scene around me, as you will have seen in my last video. Sometimes in conditions like this I want to try and find something a little bit more unique, or I can be not 100% sure which composition is going to look the best. And in mornings like this, when the conditions are still calm, beautiful, you have that time to just move around, embrace the scene and try different compositions. Unlike, I suppose, in wild, windy, crazy weather where you're running around trying to snap the light as it's changing really quickly. On mornings like this, when it's still, the change is very subtle, therefore you have that time to sort of move around, change your composition and just embrace the conditions. So that's exactly what I'm doing this morning. Something I wasn't anticipating to happen is happening behind me. Do you remember I said I had to drive through quite a bit of fog to get here? Well, that fog that was on the countryside is now coming and being drawn out to sea as the sun is rising, which in some ways is quite good because it's adding interest, and we've got like the fog and clouds now on the horizon, which is reflecting on this pool of water that I now want to photograph. But it's also coming in so quickly that I'm worried that I'm going to be shrouded in fog very, very shortly. It's an amazing thing to witness though, something that you don't see during the day. You only get this really early in the morning or in the evening. It's quite something special to watch, and we'll see, I guess, in the next 10-15 minutes how it affects my photographs. But let's move on to this next pool, this beautiful S-curve or leading line on the bank of sand here going out to the sea, and hopefully we'll get something of some interest. This is just incredible. So that mist that's coming out here to sea is adding so much contrast and interest to the sky here, which 5 minutes ago was completely washed out with nothing in it at all. And the reflections on the pool of water beside me are phenomenal. The atmosphere this mist and fog has created has just totally transformed this scene and the image in front of me. And this photograph that I'm about to show you, I think is one of my favourite ones I've taken for quite some time. So incredibly lucky this morning. Not only have I just taken an image, which I think is probably the best image I've taken this year, just because the conditions just now are so memorable, and having this pool of water and everything, and just the elements this morning have come together perfectly. But that S-curve I was photographing just 15 minutes ago, look, completely disappeared. We've now got this inlet of water as the tide's coming in, and the S-shape's no longer there. How lucky was that? Literally 15 minutes earlier, beautiful S-curve, now a blob of water. Look at this, the light, the beautiful orange glow of the morning sunrise is slowly sweeping across the dunes. It should be with me, I'm imagining, in about 2 or 3 minutes time. I've kept my tripod in the position of my last photograph that I love, just in the hope, I guess, that when that orange glow does hit me here, it might add something extra to the photograph. Oh my gosh, the conditions this morning are just incredible. Like, this genuinely is the best morning or best trip of photography I've had in ages. Just the whole conditions are just coming to life. The tide being out, the light, the fog, the shapes in the sand, and now the beautiful sunrise light coming to meet me. Oh, this is, oh. Wow. Remember I said at the start that unexpected trips out are often the best. I think this morning proves that. I've got a slight dilemma. So the big bank of fog is actually getting bigger, which is making me wonder whether the sunrise light is actually going to reach me or not. So I'm wondering, because I've got this shot, haven't I? You know, I've got it in the bag. Yeah, the light might change a bit more, but I'm wondering whether I head down the beach just a little bit, I'm here right now. I'm wondering if I just head to this S-curve bit here and just see if there's another composition opportunity there. And then I can always run back here if the light does kick off, because it's only, I don't know, a minute away. Yeah, I'm just worried if I sit here that this light is actually not going to get any better, and there could be a better opportunity down there, because there's so much fog coming in and moving, and the scene in front of me is changing so dramatically every second. There could be more opportunities. So yeah, let's, I don't know why I'm saying let's risk moving on, because like I said, I've got this image, it's not like I'm waiting for it. Yeah, let's move on, and then if I've got to run back, I've got to run back. It's part of the fun, isn't it, I think? Because there's always that dilemma in photography. Do you sit at the same spot and just wait, or do you move around? And I think I kind of touched on this in the last episode or last video about, you know, staying in the same spot and being patient. But then I was struggling that night because there was so much composition opportunities, whereas where I am this morning, there was 2, this one no longer exists, and now it's just really this big S shape here. Obviously there's loads of other compositions I could go for, but in terms of like the ones that are luring me in and really interesting me, so I feel like because I've found that composition and I've got the photograph, that I can move on to now potentially something else, and if the light does change, I've got the opportunity to come back because it's not too far. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for a wee wander. So I've come back to this spot here, and I'm actually really glad I did. We're getting the sun coming up over the fog now. Because it's getting quite high in the sky, we've not got that same intense orange glow that we would have had if it had risen earlier and that we were getting in the distance now. As you can probably see, it's a lot more yellowy now than orange. But as I was walking further in that direction, because I was walking towards the fog, it was getting so cold and there wasn't any immediate compositions jumping out at me. So I thought, you know, I found this decent composition, I'll come back and I'll see what happens. And I'm really glad I did, actually, because as you'll see in a second, I've taken another photograph. I've taken a few, actually, one with pretty much the same composition as before, and one or two by moving slightly to the right and taking another image, and just having that light coming through the clouds, illuminating parts of the fog, and also having a little bit of the sand dunes poking out of the side. It's adding so much contrast to the image, and it actually, I won't know until I get home to the computer, but I think that coming back here and getting the light like it is now has transformed this image and just given it that extra bit of edge over the image I took just 10-15 minutes before. So I really like this image. Moody, atmospheric, loads of contrast, some interesting saturation, beautiful conditions, and I'll share that with you now, and I hope you enjoy it. What a morning! I think you'll agree that this morning's been pretty special. I came here expecting to do something similar than the last time I was here, photographing the beautiful golden light against the sand dunes and the marram grass that I'm now in, and instead we got this very exciting influx of fog, beautiful lights and stunning pools of water on the beach. Honestly, getting up early and getting out is, when you're greeted with conditions like this, it is so worth it. And it's only 12 minutes past 5 in the morning. So I've got the whole day ahead of me, loads of new exciting things to discover, loads of work I can get done, and just enjoy it. Because today actually is the last day of gorgeous sunshine and heat that we've had here in Scotland this week. It's the 5th day of 20+ degrees, which is sometimes quite rare in this part of the world. To get it 5 days in a row is quite rare anyway. So last day of sunshine, get plenty of sunbathing done in my garden, and obviously again I'm out and I'll be back home again before pretty much everybody else is out of bed. Great way to social distance, getting out into nature locally this early in the morning and enjoying photography. I'm in two minds now about whether to actually head home now or stick around for a bit longer. Another huge blanket of fog has just come over in front of me, which is shrouding the beach and everything around me. And then in this direction, as you can see behind me, there's lovely sunshine over the town now. So I'm in two minds about what to do, but I think I'm going to head home because my hands are numb, I'm pretty cold, and I am over the moon with the images I got this morning. What a morning. Next time you wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning, can't get back to sleep, grab your camera and get out and enjoy sunrise and the beautiful early hours of the morning, because that's when you can get gorgeous conditions like this and when a lot of the excitement happens. As always, I want to say a huge thank you for watching, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you all again next time.